This video contains the top 3 best Town Hall 14 attack strategies to 3-star any base. Let's first start with our number 3 spot, the Blizzard Lalo. This attack strategy is broken into 3 parts, starting with the Blizzard. You're going to use a Lava Hound and the Battle Blimp to work them through. The Lava Hound is a tank and the Battle Blimp to get in. Once you find a proper spot, use invisibility and pop the Blimp manually. From here, use a rage spell and time your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. Getting chain on defenses, specifically key ones, such as Infernos, the Town Hall, scatter shots, those are always incredibly important. The Town Hall is always a must to go in for with the Blizzard, as you want to get the most value. You might even be able to remove the enemy CC and possibly an enemy hero like the Queen or Royal Champion if they are within range of your super wizards. From here, you have your hero dive. Now, this is where I would use things like balloons or sneaky goblins to help funnel your heroes. This is incredibly important because you want the king and the queen to stay together. You don't want them to separate for too long. So this is why you have them both going in at the same time. You can use things such as the Apprentice Warden and Ice Golems to provide even more value. Using wall breakers or super wall breakers to go deeper into the base is always incredibly important. Just be very patient with them, so that way they're able to open up walls further, so they're not just targeting walls towards the outside. You just want to make sure that you have them going in for an enemy hero or even more value. Of course, you also have the Royal Champion. You're mainly going to be using her to get more defensive value. This includes like the artillery, infernos, or scatter shots. You want to just be able to use her to clear out more buildings, which allows your heroes to go in the proper direction, and you're also able to get even more pathing created thanks to using your hero dive, which then makes your Lavaloon far easier. Now, when it comes to the Lavaloon, you're going to start by placing 1 Lava Hound with 3 groups of 3 balloons. That way, it allows you to then use another Lava Hound with the same thing, and you could just send them in. As for the enemy queen, if you have headhunters, you should use an early Grand Warden ability, as it will allow you to get rid of her. As for the spells, you've got freeze and haste. Free spells are good to mitigate key defenses, even the Archer Queen to let the lava pups clear, but you can also have the freeze on splash buildings, such as the scatter shot. If you have something such as a haste spell, you can use that to go in for high value defenses, so that way they're not completely shredding your entire attack. You just want to make sure that the freeze and haste spells are being used over defenses that are going to whittle down all of your balloons. And of course, make sure you have cleanup so you don't get a time fail, since sometimes that might happen to you. Next up in the number 2 spot is the Zap Titans. This is broken down into 2 parts, starting with funneling. You are going to be using a Grand Warden Walk and the use of the Flame Flinger, alongside using your lightning spells. So you'll place them in, Warden to tank for mortar shells, while the Flame Flinger does the rest. Your lightning spells you're going to be using on mainly an Expo, but getting something such as an Inferno or a Scatter Shot can also be incredible value around there as well. Just try to look for it, it's really flexible. Of course, you want to make sure that the Warden Walk is allowing your Flame Flinger to stay up, not lose any damage at all or any health, so it lasts a little bit longer despite its health decay, while your Warden Walk is just establishing the funnel on one side. Now, the other side of your funnel is going to be done with a king and 2 witches. Anything else like a baby dragon can also help. But this is going to establish that side of the funnel, which then allows you to send in your Electro Titan smash. And for the rest of this, you've got the Electro Titans moving in with the queen, the healers, and the Grand Warden. Using an Ice Golem to support is always incredibly good, a wall breaker to enter in initially, and then a jump spell to get towards the core. Using an early Grand Warden ability can also help with your Titans, but if you miss them, that's completely fine. You've got rage spells, and you should use it initially alongside going into the core of the base, whether it is defenses or the Town Hall as well. Other than that, your Titans will still be able to stay alive through the poison as long as they are in and out and they're not staying within it. Otherwise, you should have other troops supporting you. You might still have the Queen still up, and you've got your back-end Royal Champion. You're technically using her to make sure that pretty much she's going to be able to whittle down defenses alongside having support from your Electro Titans. Other than this, it allows you to have a lot of smooth sailing. I didn't think Zap Titans would work here, but it's an incredibly flexible strategy, and Titans are just insanely strong, and you should be able to clear most bases with Electro Titans in this way. And of course, the number one strategy is the Super Barch. This is broken down into two parts, starting with the Super Archer Blimp. You're going to use 5 balloons and the Grand Warden. This just allows you to have the Grand Warden follow and get defenses down. Use the Battle Blimp with this, and alongside that, use the Grand Warden ability before it leaves the radius. Then you want to prepare to use an invisibility, and then pop the Blimp manually once you find the spot you want to land. Use another invisibility after 4 seconds, 2 clones, and a rage, and then start timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. This is pretty much going to get you the most value. So I'd recommend using the wall breakers or super wall breakers to open up more areas of the base. I would also heavily advise that you avoid areas where you have either the enemy queen, royal champion, and especially the enemy barbarian king, as he is going to take so many shots away from your super archers. It can be extremely bad. So make sure that you are looking for areas where you can get a lot of value, but also not having to fight either the enemy CC or the enemy heroes, especially the Barbarian King. Now, of course, from here, the rest of your attack is practically your heroes and all of your support troops alongside the Super Barbarians. I'd recommend starting off with the use of an Electro Titan, the King, the Queen, the Apprentice Warden. That way you can kind of control where they're going to go. If the Electro Titan goes elsewhere, then you should be completely fine. As long as you can control where everything else goes, then that's perfectly fine. You do want to make sure that the heroes are moving alongside the base, so bringing in the use of wall breakers can be very, very good depending on how much value that you get and open up. Just making sure that you have the Apprentice Warden moving with them can be a really nice bonus. Another thing about the Apprentice Warden is that it's going to be really weak to defenses that can splash onto him, so Infernos can be a relatively big weakness. But using the Super Barbarians around the base and using them to protect your heroes alongside clear other defenses can be massive. Other than that, you just want to keep sending them in surgically around the base. It's not too difficult, and using your heroes to move through. A back-end Royal Champion to kind of help clear other defenses like the Infernos, Expos, etc. This is just going to allow you to continue to run through the base. Having the Super Barbarians to help clear the rest of it is always really nice, and this is just a really strong strategy that you will more than often 3-star with, if not almost always.